All right, here we go. All right, joined now by Liam Coen from sunny Los Angeles. We're getting the latest on what's going on with his life as an NFL coach during coronavirus in this quarantine. What's up, Liam? How are you?
What's going on, Yanni? Doing well, man. Appreciate it.
All right, so what is the life of a football coach right now in the NFL in the situation we're in?
Just right now, I mean, probably a lot like a lot of people that are home, and just working from home and, trying to stay busy, trying to stay active, trying to do as many things to stay busy. But we're really kind of operating as if were in the office, but just from home. So, the majority of us have all of our laptops and all of our video and film uploaded onto our laptops and computers and all like our files and our basically our cloud, if you will,
Right.
that is at the Rams facility, we all have. So we can pretty much do a lot of the things that, we would do on a daily basis, at the office, watch a ton of film, evaluate, the 2020 draft, those kind of things you can do from home digitally. And then we'll have some staff meetings, via Microsoft Team and things like that. So it really hasn't totally crushed things that we do on a day-to-day basis. It's actually pretty similar.
But that being said, with free agency, the draft, being around the guys as a former player is part of, that team building. So not being virtually with everyone, it has to be a little bit different, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is obviously the time that you're starting to bring in your top, guys visiting from college. All of that is going to be done via Skype, FaceTime, phone calls, things like that. But then your own current players that, are going to start to come in for phase one and start to come in and get around the building again. And, we won't have probably any of that. Obviously we don't have it in the next couple of weeks. So, you really have to trust, in which we do. We have a phenomenal scouting department, personnel department, and you really have to trust and lean on those guys for the work that they had done prior to leading up to the combine and things like that, and just really go with our guts when it comes to that stuff.
So now you're transitioning from assistant receivers coach to assistant quarterbacks coach, which makes all the sense in the world, being that you were a quarterback at a high level at UMass. How has that transition been? And is this obviously one of those things that is pretty natural for you and the coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, that was basically kind of, the transition. It's a pretty natural transition, really, in the profession in itself, being an assistant quarterbacks coach, where I was in the assistant receiver role, which is, you're dealing in the pass game, right? Which is what the quarterback position entails for the most part. So I don't think that, it's a pretty easy, natural transition. It's what I obviously would, wanted to take the next step in the profession and get back into the room that I'm most comfortable and have the most, time, on task dealing with. And, so that's been great. It's obviously I haven't seen any of the guys, but I've talked to Jared and talked to a couple of the guys on the team that have, made the transition easy. And it'll be tough not working with some of the guys in the receiver room quite as much as I was. It's such an unbelievable room with a phenomenal receivers coach and Eric Yarber. So that'll be tough, but it's where I've always wanted to be.
And Kevin O'Connell is your OC, former New England Patriot. Do you guys feel as an organization, listen, it happens to everyone, you lose a Super Bowl and you sort of have a letdown the next year. It happened to you guys last year. Do you feel like maybe some folks are writing you off and you have something to prove this year?
I do. It's so hard in this game, and really in any game, but specifically football. So few plays really kind of make the outcome of a game. Everybody says there's probably 5 to 10, maybe, in that range, plays that, kind of win or lose games. And that's very true. I mean, you can't put it down to one play. We all know that. It's not the refs. It's not one play. It's it's actually statistically 5 to 10 plays that make up a game of wins and loss. And I think we had so many of those games that if we would have executed better, or,
Yeah.
called better, or whatever you do in a season, that, you look at the Seattle Seahawks game after we had lost to Tampa, and, we win that game. We missed a field goal at Seattle. If we win that game, we're going on a little bit of a run there, and we ended up beating them again the second time, later on in the year. So all of the brackets that came out after
Right.
um, the new collective bargaining agreement came out, said we would have been in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
If the new the new rules were in place. But yeah, I think that it looks like we're far off in a way, because we went from going to the Super Bowl to not making the playoffs. So that's a pretty big gap.
Right.
But that being said, we do not feel as if we're very far off at all. We could probably, as coaches, attest it to 20 plays on the season or something like that. But with free agency, with the draft and things like that, we're losing a lot of players and hopefully gaining some as well over the next couple of weeks. And your players getting another year better and more mature and more experience. I definitely think that I think we'll be back in the hunt, and it's just a matter of our teams, us executing and calling it the best way possible.
All right, it's been a wild offseason. No move more notable than Tom Brady leaving the Patriots for the Tampa Bay Bucks. You and I were texting about it, but how surprised were you when you heard the news?
Shocked. I mean, I wore number 12 in college because of Tom Brady, and grew up going to all Patriots games, and it's definitely a shock. I mean, it's hard to picture him in a different jersey and picture him playing for any other team. And I think that, it's like Jordan, right? Going to play for the Wizards. It's like all those guys in Montana, it's tough because everybody's like, well, why would he ever do it? And then you look at history and all these guys did it.
Right.
They all did. And I'm not saying it worked out or was, as successful, but he's probably one of the best, if not the best that has ever done it. But he's also still one of the most competitive guys to be playing the game. And he's still playing at a high level, and, felt like that was his best opportunity to continue playing. And it's tough. It's tough to see, but, we'll be playing against them this year. So that'll be really cool. It'll be fun to hopefully play.
Are you guys in Tampa or Los Angeles?
We're in Tampa. We're in Tampa, I think. So
it'll be a little bit of a different view at the pirate ship with Tom Brady.
I know. I thought he was going to go to the Chargers, but just
I don't
because
know if that would have been better or worse for you guys sharing a city with Tom Brady. What were people in NFL circles saying? I mean, did you guys anticipate this beforehand, or was everyone sort of surprised?
There was anticipation for sure. This has been, I think, growing and building now for, like everybody knows, for the last couple of years. But I do believe, I had heard that this was definitely something that, could happen over the next couple of years. And, when a guy puts everything into, his career and into making the place as best as possible, I think he was just like, I'm taking pay cuts and I'm making this amount. And I want, need some players around and some guys to throw the ball to. And people are like, well, what else do you need? You guys went to the Super Bowl and all that, but hey, sometimes a guy needs a game ball, and sometimes the guy
needs a little pat on his rear end, right?
A little pat. I mean, sometimes guys need it. And it's not like they all, the greats don't need it as much, but still, when you do need it at some point. And nobody truly knows what went on there, but wish them the best. And it'll be exciting to see for sure.
What do you expect? How do you expect Bill Belichick and the Patriots to rebound? What do you know about Jarrett Stidham as a quarterback?
I've evaluated him a little bit, watched him coming out of Auburn, and I think he's talented now. I mean, he has the physical makeup, and He can throw the heck out of the ball, especially pushing the ball vertically down the field. I thought he had a really good touch and the ability to level the football on some of the intermediate throws, the daggers, the deep ends, the comebacks. Some of those throws that are, really involved in the NFL game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought he did a nice job just operating their offense in the preseason. I mean, he got so many reps that you got to see him play a lot. And now, you get him with the ones, with the first unit, you get a couple more guys around him. I mean, he can move a little bit, I mean, I think he's got a shot to be pretty darn good. It's just a matter of, doing it on a week-to-week basis when he's the guy.
Right.
And that I think is always it's always like a sixth man in basketball coming in, and now, well, shoot, you had success being that sixth man, the guy when there's not as much pressure. Well, when you're now in the starting lineup on a week-to-week basis and you have to prepare like a pro and practice like a pro, it's just a little bit different. But I fully expect him, if he can put all that stuff together, to be a successful pro.
Are the Patriots a playoff team in your estimation? Do they have enough talent?
I'll never write them off on that as long as the head coach is there. I mean, he's too good.
Yeah.
And Josh, just knowing, Josh McDaniels, a little bit in the profession and what, he's done on offense and their whole staff. But as long as Bill Belichick's there, in my opinion, he's the greatest to really ever do it. So, I mean, to be honest, it's tough losing Tom. He's, a lot of people say if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team.
Right.
But if they have a quarterback, you just have to get, you have to get it all out of them on a week-to-week basis. And, I think that as long as they have Bill Belichick, I'll never write those guys off.
What do you make of the quarterback carousel? You have Teddy Bridgewater going, traveling. You have Phillip Rivers going to the Colts. Jameis Winston and Cam Newton are on the street. What do you make of all this?
I think Teddy, I got to watch Teddy quite a bit last year. We had a lot of film carry over from when he was starting in those weeks. And we actually were for the first team that he went in against because Drew got hurt against us. So Teddy's always had this ability to come in and he's a winner. He's a competitor, he's a winner, and he's got enough of a skill set to be a starting quarterback in this league. It's probably a similar thing to Stidham. It's like, hey, doing it week to week, week in and week out, and getting a little bit banged up and a little bit more tired, and just managing the highs and lows of a season. But and then Phillip going to Indianapolis. I mean, that's a whole.
Why Rivers over Brady? Why not go over Brady?
I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. It's a great question. I mean,
maybe it's Manning's turf, and they don't want to do that to him. Sort of.
Totally agree.
Maybe they just wanted the one year bridge.
No doubt. I mean, Indy's not that far off from being probably a pretty darn good team. They have a great coach. They have some skill. They need to continue to build their skill. They got hurt last year, I think, a little bit. And it's also tough on the incumbent, over there in Indianapolis, who was, I always forget his name, the starter in Indianapolis.
Jacoby Brissett?
Brissett, yeah. I always call him JT Barrett for some reason. But Jacoby Brissett, I mean, what do you do with that? You just pay, and then they pay him, and, maybe they're trying to get him to, maybe mold Jacoby a little bit and help him out, but I don't know what's going to happen.
What about Jameis and Cam? Where do they end up?
Man, it's a great question, bro. I mean, obviously, one guy's nicknamed Superman, and he's on the street. Like, what are we talking about,
Would the Chargers take a flyer, or you think they're going through the draft?
I think they're going to probably go through the draft, and, they have Tyrod, who's known as obviously more of a dual threat guy who can run, but who also can throw well enough in this league. And if they can they have a good defense, they have some good skill players, they're probably just like, look, we just need somebody that doesn't turn the ball over, and they're probably up towards a playoff team.
Right.
And they don't need somebody to be Phillip Rivers 2.0. They just need
Right.
somebody to come in and just do some, execute the offense and not turn the ball over, and they're probably a playoff team. So, Jameis one is interesting to me because I think he's more of an NFL quarterback than Cam is.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Cam is a freak.
Right.
Freak athlete that could probably play multiple positions on the field if he really wanted to. I think Jameis can win games in the NFL. He's gonna be somewhere. It's just a matter of where, I think.
Just clean up those interceptions. All right, just two more quick ones.
Yeah.
What do you view on the LA Rams new logo? I know we were joking about it on our
it's one of those things where, with a new stadium, new kind of regime being back in Los Angeles, is creating a logo and a branding is what the Rams are trying to do. And that really is all encompassing of Los Angeles, not just the Rams. So, we've got a ton of great different logos, primary logos, secondary logos. It's a little bit new age, a little bit different. But when I listen to our branding, portion of our building speak to the coaches and staff about how they got to the color schemes, the color waves, the ram head, and some of those things. It was really cool to listen to how they put it all together and came to some of these logos and themes that they got to. I think it'll obviously take people seeing it on uniforms in order for a lot of people to get the true perspective of it. It's a little bit different and funky, but ultimately, I think it's going to look pretty cool on gear and things like that. It's wearing on me. It's growing on me.
So send me some stuff. I'll send you my address. I want some new swag.
Got to get it back there in a bit. I got to get that new ram head over there.
What's the status of the new stadium?
It looks like as of right now, we just, we've been being updated that it looks like everything's still on schedule. I think that 2020. We'll be playing in it
this fall.
Wow. Yep.
When was the last time you were there? Have you guys taken a tour recently?
We haven't. Aaron Donald did a tour before all the COVID came out. He did a tour like right before that happened. We did a tour like when it first started, but we get sort of some updates, via email from, the organization. And it sounds like everything's still, on board and fully on schedule to open up. I think Taylor Swift plays first.
Oh, wow.
Like Taylor Swift is the first act, that'll be played in the new stadium. And then it looks like, one of our games, I guess, is going to be the first, actual sporting event played in there. So it all looks like it's, ready to go for opening day.
That'll be a cool place to go to work on Sundays. All right, last one. Are you any plans to, I guess it's all up in the air right now, coming back to Rhode Island?
Yeah, I was actually supposed to be flying back this week. I was going to fly back with some of our time off with the owners' meetings supposedly happening right now. We were supposed to have the time off. I had a flight booked and ready to go to come see my family and, dad and friends back home. But, the plan is tentatively for the middle of June. So that's when we're supposed to be, getting on our true vacation after OTAs and minicamp. But who even knows if we have those? So everything's obviously to be determined. But hopefully I'll be home in Rhode Island in the summer, like I always love to be. It's the best place to be in the summertime. So let's hope for June,
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, Liam. I appreciate your time, buddy.